Hey Luke, I've got some major news, or should I say majors news. This is from Deadline.com. Jonathan Majors makes movie comeback in Daily Wire action pick filming this week in South Carolina. Does it sound like a match made in heaven to you?
Yes, for sure. Now, you got to feel for black actors in Hollywood. Either they're doing movies with Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire, or they're being racially abused at the BAFTAs. You know, like black
Which
actors.
is worse?
Which is worse? They really do have it tough nowadays. But yeah, no. Shout out to Jonathan Majors. You know, he had a difficult time after the allegations, but it's good to see he's landed on his feet.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke. And this week, we are celebrating our Oscar extravaganza by looking at all the movies nominated for Best Picture at this coming Oscars, of which one is the topic of today's video, Marty Supreme. So, Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Marty Supreme?
Sure thing, Michael. Yes, of course. We are continuing our Oscar extravaganza by looking at Marty Supreme this week, which, of course, has been nominated for Best Picture. It is a 2025 American sports comedy drama film, much like F1.
Yes.
Apart from the comedy bit. And, ping pong is very different to F1, because F1 is actually a sport, like whatever ping pong is. But yeah.
Good one. You nailed him.
No, it's just funny because often people say F1 isn't a sport.
Yes.
But it's more of a sport than this fucking thing. I'm having too much of a Milton Rockwell attitude to table tennis. You know?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, like it's big in Asia, and of course I do love Asia. So
yeah, you're a weirdo. I think you were saying earlier.
I gotta respect it. So, of course, the movie is directed by Josh Safdie, one of the Safdie brothers. The talented Safdie brother, apparently. It stars Timothée Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa Azion, Kevin O'Leary. Wait, what? Isn't that the Shark Tank guy? Tyler Okonoma. I wonder who he plays. Abel Ferreira and Fran Drescher. It was released on December the 25th, 2025 in the United States. It's interesting they chose to release it on Jesus' birthday. I'd say, yeah, very interesting.
Always trying to take the focus away from our baby Jesus, aren't they?
Yeah, who's they in this instance?
The individuals, the Jeffrey Epstein's not. I don't know how to say the quiet part quiet, Luke. You know that about me. You've got to stop putting me on the spot like this.
Right. Okay. Sorry about that. So. What was the budget, Michael, for Marty Supreme?
Well, let me tell you, it was entirely... obviously Mr. O'Leary, he would have done it for free because he's already got enough money, and like all rich people, he's probably got a big ego. But Timothée Chalamet, he has no money and no ego, so he would have just been in it purely for the love of the cash. I don't know. Let's say 90 million.
Wow, okay, so you went really high there.
Yeah, I feel like I've often been going low. I think, well, the thing is, what I've failed to appreciate, and of course it's entirely possible I'm wrong, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong, but I think what I failed to appreciate is that nowadays, just so many movies, any movie that you've heard of, probably costs a lot of money. Now, obviously, there might be exceptions, maybe this is one, but at this point, I'm just saying, you know what, I'm fucking leaning into it. Yeah, everything just costs loads of money is what I'm saying. Sue me.
Okay, so this was distributed by A24.
Yes, of Civil War fame.
Yes,
which
of course.
was a Marvel film.
Yes, this is the highest budgeted movie ever released by A24.
Oh, that is useful information.
But the budget was only 60 to 70 million, which is quite a lot actually. To be fair, I really do like the production design. So, Michael, can you guess what the box office was for Marty Supreme?
No, I cannot. I kind of felt this movie didn't make a huge amount of money. Like, that could be... I could just be totally off there. It could be classic, crazy Michael, always being wrong. But I feel like no one cared about this movie. Even though Timothée Chalamet has his fans, I don't think that they care. I don't think, like, their love for him would outweigh their hatred of sports, since they're all gays or women. I think this movie made Ah, shit, no, I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm gonna kind of second guess myself. If they didn't make that much money, I'm gonna go for 100 million. That's how much this made. Probably did. I don't know. I'm gonna say 100 million.
You don't believe in Marty Supreme?
I don't really know. I didn't really. I mean, I didn't have much confidence in him throughout the entire film. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. So this made 155 million at the box office. Okay. So that I would say that's a success, and of course it will earn quite a bit through streaming. I'd imagine as well. So, Michael, can you tell me whether you liked Marty Supreme?
I think this movie, so obviously it's it's very much a character study. I think we can all at least agree on that. And in that regard, I think it's a good one, right? You know, it's kind of you get the sense of Marty as this very kind of eccentric guy. You could say maybe he's a little bit of an asshole. I think someone could lay that charge at him. Obviously, you have all of these like specific kind of people he knows and his interactions with them tell you things about his character. The movie, through the character, kind of has some things to say about like making a name for yourself, having a legacy, your life having, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I would say, yeah, this movie is solid. Solid. I think it's one of those. Yeah, I think it's been a while since we looked at a good, proper, I would say, like full on like character study. And also, this is as a biopic, this is very good. Although I'm led to believe that it's quite an unfaithful biopic, which I think is largely why it's probably as good as it is.
Yeah, so I was going to mention, well, you were actually, in the development, how this is adapted from a biography from another table tennis, quote-unquote, athlete called Marty Reisner, I believe. Reisman. And his 1974 memoir, The Money Player. But yeah, this movie, did I like it? Well, kind of. I'm actually surprised you were more enthusiastic about it than I expected you to be.
Yeah, well, you've been very down on these movies recently, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Which movies have I been down
on? I think so. Sinners. I think like literally.
Sinners. I gave Sinners a higher rating than you did.
I know, but the thing is, so even though you gave them good ratings, it's always been of a caveat, right? Because with Sinners, yeah, you liked it, but there was that massive caveat of, it really fell off in the second half. With Formula One,
well, that's why I gave it a 7. I gave it a 7.5. You know.
Yeah, no,
it's obviously going to have.
So when I say when I say down, I don't mean like actively dislike. I mean, I would be interested if you're going to say that you actively dislike this film. If you do that, that would be interesting.
Well, I just said I kind of liked it.
So but it's just interesting that in all these cases you've had this kind of distinct. And I appreciate it. You know, I think it's fun to have like a very specific criticism for a film. So well done, you, I say. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what's the sitch, bitch.
What's the sitch, bitch? So yeah, it's kind of an interesting movie because a lot of shit happens, but I don't think a lot of it is actually that entertaining. It's just,
I do get where you're coming from there.
It's just like kind of entertaining, and I don't think you say it's a character study of obviously this guy Marty Mauser, which is true, it is, but I don't think it's done that well. And I think there's a theme going on throughout the whole movie, which is this theme of like Marty's Jewish identity, and specifically, you know, the identity or the Jewish identity after the Holocaust. And that right there is interesting. I think it is interesting, and the movie does contain these themes, which we'll get into. But I don't think it's spelled out as well as it could have been spelled out. Look, I'm just going to compare it to another movie, which I'll tell you later. It should be obvious. It's not a surprising movie to compare it to, but yeah, it's not great, and it's just kind of fine. Like I'm watching this and I'm thinking, yeah, a lot of crazy stuff is happening, you know, and obviously, you know, the editing is frenetic, the dialogue is, you know, fast, and there's so many different characters, so many different like scenes which, you know, are dramatic in some way or another, but. Yeah, there is an inherent lack of substance while watching it, unless you dig a bit deeper. And sometimes I'm fine with digging a bit deeper, but I think you have to dig a bit too deep.
Yeah, sometimes it's like it has to be about the experience of the film in a way where if you're having to like bone up too much in order to enjoy it, it's kind of missing the point of it being a movie. Yes,
exactly. That is a good way of putting it. And that of course also applies to Marty's character as well. It's, you know, okay, yeah, if you look, you can piece together, like, this character arc. I'd say it's not a failed character arc, but it's just disappointing, given what you actually experience in the movie while watching it. And again, if you dig a bit deeper, it's like, okay, things make a bit more sense. We'll get into it. We'll get into it right now. So, Michael, tell me, do you have any nitpicks?
Yes, just one. And it's kind of
Okay.
related to the thing that you've already said, which is the Jew thing. Obviously, he says, like, oh, we built the pyramids. I believe he says, we was kangs, I believe is his expression. Obviously, we actually know that, putting aside debates as to the historicity of the Exodus account, even then, the Jews definitely didn't build the pyramids, because the pyramids were built in 3000 BC, and if the Exodus story happened, and if the Jews were ever enslaved in Egypt, that happened in between 1400 and 1200 BC, which is significantly over 1,000 years after the pyramids were built. Also, blah, 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 Zionism. Isn't it funny that Marty goes over to this place and, like, steals part of the pyramid because it was promised to him 3,000 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fucking goal of that fucking religion to claim to have built the eighth wonder of the world and to have done it as slaves. Honestly, no,
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating there. Because
for comedic effect.
Yes, exactly, for comedic effect. Because that is an interesting line which ties into, again, like, Marty's Jewish identity and what, like, Safdie wants to communicate about Marty and his, like, again, Jewish identity post Holocaust, and it's quite interesting. And I don't think the line is meant to be taken literally.
It's possible that the character could be wrong as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So
yes.
I don't think Josh Safdie is saying, yeah, guess what? The Jews built the pyramids because this fucking character who, clearly is not the most trustworthy said it in this movie. So I didn't put it.
Why is he not trustworthy, Luke? Huh?
Well, we're going to get into that. Yeah. But obviously what he said was wrong. But again, I don't think we as the audience are going to sit back and say, wow, I didn't know the Jews. Well, again, I think that is a common, like, story.
Yes,
but we're not going to sit back and say, well, I guess the Jews did build the pyramids. No, it goes into, like, what Safdie's trying to say about the character and Jews post World War II, which we will get to. So let's get to the plot first.
Yes. So, Marty Mauser, a young man with a dream no one respects, goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. Set in the 1950s, Marty attempts to become table tennis world champion and prove once and for all that the Jews are the supreme race. And let me tell you, if you want to prove the Jews are the supreme race, you want to really go to their strengths, sports is absolutely where you want to go. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, no, but obviously, table tennis it's an interesting sport to as a vehicle because nobody gives a shit about it in the United States.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Because I have to say this right away. I don't know if you mentioned this later, but, like, table tennis is very, like, this film contains the least sports I've ever seen in a sports biopic. Like, it's just, there's just long, protracted periods where he's pretty much not playing table tennis at all.
Yeah, so I was speaking to someone else about this movie, and they said, oh, yeah, it's the table tennis movie. And I'd already watched it at this
you
stage.
called him a pleb.
And I said, well, it's not really about table tennis, because you watch it, there's quite a few table tennis scenes at the start, and then at the end, and there's just this massive gap in the middle where nothing table tennis. Well, actually, of course, he does play table tennis to get, to hustle those racists. Yes. Were they racist? I can't remember.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah. They just don't like the Jewish guy earning a bit of money. They can't stand it. But it's. Yes, okay, like, he's going, as you read out, he's going to hell and back. Or what did you actually say? Yeah, he goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. Yeah, and that's true somewhat, but a lot of, the hell that is described in that great plot description is just, like, really crazy shit happening to him over and over again. And, he's trying to engineer this dream, and he's trying to do so much. To make this dream a reality, and it's clearly going to be so tough for him to achieve this dream. It feels like he's getting in over his head. So much shit is going on. So he's spinning so many plates. He's struggling to control his situation, even though he's trying desperately to do that. And again, I'm going to compare it to another movie made by Josh Safdie. Have you seen Uncut Gems?
You know what? I really, really, really. It's a movie that I haven't watched, and I do want to watch it. And I keep not getting around to watching it. So, you can bully me about that, because I do actually want to watch it.
It's just, again, I haven't seen it in years, but Adam Sandler's character is kind of like spiraling, like he's trying to pay off some debt, and he keeps betting on stuff. Again, it's just a very simplistic, reading of the plot. And yeah, eventually it doesn't end well for him either. But yeah, it's like this guy Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. He gets in way over his head, and it's this very similar thing in this movie in a completely different context. Like, yeah, this guy is just, he's trying to achieve this dream, but he's struggling. He needs the $1,500 to get to Japan. He can't do it, and he's having to do all these crazy shenanigans to do it. And it's like, yeah, this is the formula is not too dissimilar to Uncut Gems, which is what was kind of disappointing about the plot, because I don't really enjoy that kind of style of movie somewhat, because it's a bit gimmicky, I feel like.
And it means you don't have to put as much focus into crafting the plot in like a really clever way, I guess.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's kind of like when it's just a load of random shit happening.
Yeah, it's not clever. It's like, oh, this crazy shit happens that leads on to this other thing, which is crazy. Again, that's why I would describe it potentially as gimmicky. And also, it's been like Safdie did something similar with Uncut Gems in some respects. So yeah, and then of course, which is something else I discussed before. Like you said, it's character study, and there's this failed character arc. Well, I say failed. That's what I put in my notes. It's a bit harsh to say failed, but a disappointing character arc, shall I say, in my opinion. Yeah, and of course, it's clear, very clear by the end of the movie, how much his Jewish heritage, how much that means to him, and how much that is a core theme of the movie, and you just don't get that while watching it for the first time. And yeah, you just don't see that much in the movie. Him going from oh yeah, I'm Marty Supreme, I'm on my own. No, and him going from that to, oh yeah, I'm actually Marty Mauser. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm doing this for, I guess, my people, all of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And that isn't really communicated that well, which is a shame, because I think it is quite interesting. But yeah, Safdie chooses to not spell it out, which again, you could say it's fine, because of course, movie. One of the things about watching movies is sometimes you got to read between the lines. But you can't really read between the lines unless you actually read stuff after the movie.
Yes.
Which again is a bit of a problem. Would you agree?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would totally. For me, I do agree with this idea that that's not really something I picked up at all. So yeah, I'll say that I didn't really like the whole. I mean, obviously, they say the whole Jew thing, but the kind of, and I do kind of get, there are a few points. I guess the problem is I was in meme mode, so I kept writing down oh, he's so greedy. This Jew's so greedy, and I never actually kind of took the time to think that there is obviously a connection between his being on that grind, that hustle, and the fact that he's obviously that's kind of what the Jews were doing. I recently got into this YouTuber called Drax Diamonds or something like that. And he's this guy, and I don't know if you've seen him, but literally all of his shorts are just hey, I'm out here. I can't do his voice, whatever. It's
I'm out here selling diamonds. If you want diamonds, come to Drax Jewelers in Manhattan.
And yeah, okay. It's good content.
So yeah, so I'm trying to discuss, this, and then you're talking about this fucking YouTuber.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of, it's related, because obviously he's he's just trying to make it. I guess what I'm saying is that that's what's made me think about Uncut Gems recently. But no, yeah, now you're saying it, I can think about that, but it wasn't even something that occurred to me at the time. This whole thing of Jews struggling, Marty struggling.
Yeah, well, it's just the movie is so allergic to spelling it out, which is again a bit of a problem. I think it's fine, if things aren't again completely spelled out and the audience isn't spoon fed. I think it doesn't help. Of course, there's so much overlapping dialogue, and there's this, the movie is shot crazily, the camera is so frantic as well, and yet you get a is it called a sensory overload, and that completely takes up your attention, and you're not focusing on maybe the themes underneath everything. So yeah, you can argue again it's a bit of a style over substance issue as well. But that is potentially a problem. But let's get into the development, Michael.
Yes. Josh Safdie's interest in table tennis began in his youth. His grandparents often had eccentric Jewish immigrant Lower East Side characters playing the sport at their house. In 2018, Safdie's wife bought a copy of table tennis player Marty Reisman's 1974 autobiography, The Money Player, thinking Safdie would enjoy it. Safdie was in conversation with Timothée Chalamet at the time, as they had recently become friends, and presented him the project by focusing on Reisman's physical similarities to the actor. Chalamet accepted the role and began taking table tennis lessons that same year. I have gathered that he knew he was going to be doing this role quite a bit in advance when he actually ended up doing it.
Yeah, well, of course, it says 2018.
Yes.
So
yeah,
the same year.
Sense,
yeah. So what's that?
That's 8 years. Wow.
Well, 7 years, but yeah, because of course the movie was released in 2025. But yeah.
Oh
yeah. But yeah, I just think it's the perfect role and movie for Chalamet, because I think he is. Well, to be fair, he's very good in when he's Timothy Chalamet gay as well.
Yes.
But I think he's got this his personality is one which is quite I don't want to say arrogant.
Yeah, but he's quite boisterous, I think you could say.
Yeah,
he does a lot of rapping.
He does, and he is performative as well. And yeah, he likes the limelight. Does old Timothy Chalamet? Of course, we all know who he is in a relationship with, don't we?
Yes, Kendall Jenner.
Yes, who is a billionaire, as he said in that rap.
I actually don't. I don't even know that rap. I only know his rap about. I mean, I could believe that he does that kind of rapping too. But I didn't know he did a rap specifically about his hoe. But cool.
No, so he. I'll get it up. It was that he did a rap to promote the movie. See, again, Chalamet is happy to do something like that. That's in his wheelhouse, and of course, that's quite similar to this Marty Supreme character, who is again quite eccentric. So yeah, I think it fit him like a glove, and he does look quite Jewish as well.
Good, just what we want to see. No, yeah, I mean, also he had that whole thing about saying that he's it was with regards to this movie. He's been saying, "Oh, I've been putting in generational good performances," and I know that women hate when men are proud of themselves. Women just kind of want to constantly just needle away at men and constantly just push them down. So they hate to see a man kind of standing on business and being proud of it. So I know it's a lot of, because obviously Timothy Chalamet's fans are all women. I remember seeing a lot of them being he's just saying this because he's getting into character and he's method acting as this Marty guy. He doesn't actually think he could achieve anything. He could just be my tiny little pathetic twink boy, because women. Did you Did you pick up on that? It was in the ether. Yeah,
no, I picked up on that. But yeah, so he has this athlete's mentality because he said he wanted to be great like Michael Jordan. That's what he said. And so, yeah, again, that is maybe I should have led with that perhaps. But when we talk about the similarities between Marty Supreme, of course, who is an athlete in this movie, and Chalamet. I've got up the rap right now. This is him.
Okay.
Still sipping dirty, still putting work in. Let's go, that's still working. I'm jerking. It's him with Big Chalamet chillin', trying to stack 100 million. Girl got $1 billion. What the fuck? What a wonderful feeling. Hit to the ceiling, hit to the since 2017. I'm living the dream, getting the cream. I'm living on theme. I'm doing one thing. Marty Supreme, Marty Supreme, Marty Supreme. Flex, now I'm flexing. Got kind cloak and not checking. Got model bitches and Peckham. I'm Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham. I'm having fun, just sexting. My dick is young and restless. When they say I'm too senseless, I respond like, bitch, you got my life is an opera. Look at the Oscars, look at the groupies, look at the movies, look at the AAA girl gon' choose me. Look at my haters, man, they wanna sue me. Chillin' in the coupe in the 4-door, live on a rack, it's a more door. I live like the king with my sword drawn. It's the Marty Supreme in the 4 rows. I'm full my deep in this jam.
Right, there we go.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. He's got bitches in Peckham. And he's like Ryan Reynolds in Wrexham.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah, but again, which other actors would do that? Not a lot. So yeah, he is one of a kind, Timothy Chalamet, and again, that fits in certainly with Marty Supreme, doesn't it? So
absolutely. Yeah,
I think that's why he fit the character, and I guess well, since we're talking about Timothy Chalamet in this role, let's just ask: do you think that he, from what you've seen, does he deserve to be? He's been nominated for Best Actor. Do you think he will win Best Actor? And do you think?
And does he deserve it?
Yeah.
Now, remind me. Not, I necessarily think this matters in terms of whether he deserves it, but did he win for A Complete Unknown? I've already forgotten.
No, he did not.
Okay, cool. I think that he probably will. I mean, so I'm just trying to think about who else. I mean, based on the other films we've seen, I don't think that anyone in. I mean, obviously it could be Michael B. Jordan, but I don't think he was super great as an actor in that film. He was kind of just acting like Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, well, he's acting like two Michael B. Jordans, of course.
Oh yeah, I suppose,
yeah. There's Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another, and Wagner Moura in The Secret Agent are the other nominees. Of course, we haven't seen a couple of those. But yes, I think he is better than Michael B. Jordan, and I think he's better than Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more transformative in this role than, many other people have been in different roles. There we go. That's my radical take.
But he's not better than Jesse Plemons in Begonia. When we reviewed Begonia, I said, well, you know what, this guy, he's not going to win Best Actor, but you know what, he should be in the running, Jesse Plemons. But he wasn't even nominated for Best Actor, which I think is kind of crazy, because he was very good, and I think he gives a better performance than Chalamet. But
yeah, whatever. I think you're not entirely wrong.
Yeah, he is very good in this movie, Chalamet. It fits him well, so yeah, congrats. He's probably going to win, so yeah, congrats to him.
No, absolutely. Anyway, should we get into the script, Luke?
Yes.
In 1952, New York City, Marty Mauser works as a shoe salesman at his uncle's shop while also competing professionally as a table tennis player. Marty dreams of winning the British Open to bring American attention to the sport. He also pitches selling orange table tennis balls bearing his name to his friend Dion's businessman father, and is having an affair with his married childhood friend, Rachel Misler. So, yeah, there we go. He's got, it's interesting because obviously he's kind of already made it as a player, as a professional. Like, he's already, doing pretty well. The problem is no one gives a shit about the sport he's playing. It's a very unique struggle.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I'll give Safdie credit for this. Marty, supreme, an interesting character right off the bat.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got obviously he's a degenerate.
Yeah, there was a bit of a pun there.
Oh, I see. Off the bat, I get puns.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, he's compelling, which is what you need, of course. He's got this personality, and the whole movie is carried by this guy. And yeah, I don't think he's a caricature either, which could have been a possibility. He's not. And of course, if he's a caricature, that could be very anti-Semitic, naturally.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. It's believable, this character. So yeah, I think it's a good character. You've created something really nice here.
Yes. Now, Marty demands $700 for his London trip, but Murray refuses. Wow, he says, $700. What do you need $600 for? I can't believe you come here asking me for $500. Anyway, and so on and so forth. That's the joke. Citing concern for Marty's mother and wanting him to keep his job. After hours, Marty robs the shop's vault by threatening his co-worker Lloyd at gunpoint. Yeah, so this is interesting. I was like, okay, yeah, they're really going for it here. I think obviously, again, whatever it tells me about his character, that he's really committed to making this thing work. It reminds this whole thing of him constantly being oh, I'm gonna do something a little bit, let's say, immoral. I don't think that would be too extreme to say, in order to get this bank. But in the end, I'll pay people back because I'm gonna be a big superstar. It's I think quite an interesting way to make him, I guess, kind of sympathetic, right? Because it's kind of well, I don't know if sympathetic, but almost it's not like he's just oh, I'm gonna steal money from you because I fucking hate you. He's he actually thinks that he can be a big success and pay these people back eventually, which is, I think, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he has that athlete's mentality, or this mentality of I'm going to succeed, I'm going to be great, this is the only thing I'm ever going to do.
Yeah.
Which is what I think a lot of athletes have, or just a lot of people who are successful in, I guess, occupations that are performative in some way. So obviously, like sports or, being a pop star or whatever. You need to have this mentality. I mean, I also like the scene because it's quite funny. So there you go. But yeah, yeah, you're going to read now about how Chalamet promoted this movie.
Yes, Chalamet collaborated with the clothing brand Nahmias to design merchandise, including a jacket that Chalamet sent to athletes and celebrities he considered great, such as Susan Boyle and Tom Brady, among others. Oh, Tom Brady. That's the New England Patriots. They were in the Super Bowl. So now, obviously, this Susan Boyle thing there is funny. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah, I put that in. But it's true. In an interview, he said, "Yeah, I admire Susan Boyle," because people thought, of course, before her audition on Britain's Got Talent, she was a bit ridiculous. But then, she stunned everyone. And I definitely think Chalamet was told about that. It's oh yeah, mention Susan Boyle, because I don't. Maybe he knew about Susan Boyle's story, but I don't know if he did before the interview. It's very clear what influenced this character and what Chalamet tapped into. I remember there's a bunch of athletes. For instance, I know Declan Rice got a Marty Supreme jacket which he wore. Charles Leclerc Charles Leclerc also got a Marty Supreme jacket, the F1 driver. Two, both of them notorious bottlers, Declan Rice and Charles Leclerc. Just like Marty Supreme, of course, he doesn't win the championship. So yeah, no, he fits right in with those athletes for sure.
Yeah, they're all pathetic little bitch boys, I think, is what you would say about them. And I would tend to agree.
That's your player, Declan Rice.
Oh, yeah, for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I hate him, and I wish that he was never put in charge of Arsenal's football team.
Sorry, what do you mean put in charge? What?
I don't know. I don't really know what's. I don't know the beef with Declan Rice. I know that he. I always get him confused with. He better be white, because I was about to say I always get him confused with Foden.
Well, they're both white.
Yeah. Well, I think do they have like the same hair? I don't know. In my head, Declan Rice. Oh no, they don't even look that similar at all, to be honest. Okay, but whatever. Who cares? Anyway. But yeah, no, that's interesting that he like did that. It's certainly better than sending people like dead rats and used condoms.
Yeah,
method acting has improved.
Yeah, some great sports talk there.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But again, well, in keeping with this movie not really having that much to do with sports, it makes sense that we move on from it quickly. In London, Marty, unhappy with the players' barracks, instead stays at the Ritz Hotel, where he seduces former actress Katie Stone and meets her wealthy husband, pen magnate Milton Rockwell. Are we now going to talk about the fact that Milton Rockwell is played by Shark Tank McGee? Because I think it's interesting. He actually, I feel like he's not a bad... Okay, so he to me does not feel like a bad actor in this film. Obviously, he's mostly just playing himself, so I'm not saying, oh wow, this guy is fucking brilliant, let's get him to play some fantastic... But even then, I feel like if someone told me to play myself in a movie, I would struggle to do that, because even though I'd just be playing myself, I feel like I would naturally kind of, struggle to make it seem natural. But I guess it's probably because he like stars in reality TV. He's kind of used to playing himself in a context where he's making a big deal out of it.
Well, exactly. He is performative whenever he's on Shark Tank.
Yes.
Like he's putting on a show. So I don't think it was that difficult for him. But I do think Kevin O'Leary unfortunately does a great job. And if you want to read about that.
Kevin O'Leary, who plays Milton Rockwell, was pursued by Safdie and Bronstein due to his persona in the reality television series Shark Tank. They flew out to O'Leary's home to watch him read for the role. O'Leary came up with one of his last lines of dialogue, in which he refers to himself as a vampire. Ooh, wow. Yeah. So I heard you say unfortunately. Is just because you hate him because he's rich, or is he like actually what's the substance of O'Leary being an actual dickhead? Is he just like a dickhead and says every rich person's a dickhead, or is he like was he on Epstein's island?
Probably. No, I don't know. Allegedly, no, I don't know. He is very critical of Zoran Mandani. I know that. Like he's
okay. Yeah,
it's like standard like right wing like bullshit talking points, about how awful socialism and communism is and all that kind of stuff. Of course, it's not that surprising, but yeah, he does a great job, and he plays himself, as you said. And I don't think he cares that like he plays himself and his character is meant to be the villain that everyone hates.
I listened to some podcasts where people were talking about this movie, and they like basically made that point of like, he's literally playing a dickhead and he does a good job at it. So well done him.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Well done to him. Yeah, but unfortunately, it does seem like he's a really good actor. Again, is he acting that much? Well, yeah, he kind of is. However, Marty Supreme. Of course, has a friend. Well, a friend like his Jewish, table tennis pal.
Yes,
called Bela, who of course tells a story to Kevin O'Leary's Milton Rockwell when they first meet, which is quite an important story thematically.
Yeah, and it leads us to some fantastic hashtag analysis on the subject of selfishness. Bela Kletsky's honey story is an act of sacrifice. He risked his life to bring a moment of sweetness to others. In contrast, Marty is portrayed for much of the film as supremely selfish, willing to lie and scam anyone to fund his own ambitions. The scene is based on a true story from the life of Alojzy Alex Ehrlich. There we go. Yeah, so this is obviously a very strange incident. I will say it's one of those things where it's
sorry, what do you mean strange?
Oh, well, sorry, okay, maybe I'm crazy here. But I just don't see how that many ovens could account for the figures. No. The fact that he covers himself, like he covers his body in honey, and they lick the honey off his body. Obviously, I get it. Like, if I was starving, I would absolutely love to lick some honey off someone's body. But it is like a kind of strange visual. I think that I'm willing to say that.
Yeah, it is a strange visual, but it has a symbolic point, which is to again contrast this guy Bela Kletsky, to Marty Supreme, and Marty's like joking about Auschwitz and the Holocaust.
Yes, he does joke about that.
Yeah, and then by the end of the movie,
Fuentes.
yeah, by the end of the movie, he's not really doing that. He's kind of changed as a character, and yeah. So again, like it's about the sacrifice this guy made, as a Jewish person in the Holocaust, and like of course Marty doesn't make a similar sacrifice, but he understands his role. I think a bit better, in terms of his lineage. Like he wouldn't like the Marty Supreme at the end of the movie wouldn't make a joke about the Holocaust, for instance, like he does at the start. And yeah, so that's why it's important to the theme that story. So yeah, it is a strange visual, and I noticed it. Well, I was like, well, I bet that means something thematically,
Yes.
and indeed it does mean something thematically. And yeah, by the way, of course, as you said, it is based on a true story. This guy, Alex Ehrlich, was a professional ping pong player, and the Germans recognized him, and so basically made him go out and disarm bombs. And yeah, I think they didn't kill him. They didn't gas him because he was a famous player. They recognized. So they
That's actually a pretty good story. And then Marty comes along and ruins it by fitting every stereotype. Marty defeats Kletsky in the semi-finals, but loses the final to Koto Endo, a Japanese player using a sponge racket. For the ping pong scenes, Chalamet trained for months and was coached by Diego Schaff and former US Olympian Wei Wang. I think probably not entirely necessary, actually, because let's be real here. One, as we've already said, there isn't that much ping pong action in this movie. And two, I kind of feel like they probably could have just got away with having a CGI ball. And I don't know, I'm not saying he didn't need to learn anything. Obviously you have to learn the basics to make it look convincing. But to be honest, I think he overextended himself, and I think he should be embarrassed.
To be honest, for some of the scenes, it did look like they used a CGI ball. I'm not really sure if they did or not, but sometimes it looked like they did. But yeah, I'll just say, is the ping pong good? Well, yeah. Again, there are some interesting points, but it does kind of look unrealistic. And again, I think this is that's maybe where the CGI comes in. I can tell you can tell Chalamet isn't awful, but yeah, it's not fantastic. So yeah, again, as a sports movie, you're always looking at the sport, and again, it doesn't really look that good. But again, the movie is hardly about table tennis. So yeah. Also, there is a nice contrast between Marty and Endo. So yeah, if you want to get into that.
Yes, so with some more hashtag analysis. Both Endo and Marty are survivors of the same global catastrophe, but they carry it in opposite ways. The film suggests that while Marty is fighting to be someone, Yoshi is fighting because he has already lost everything. He represents the finality of what happened to Japan. When they face each other, Marty sees a version of himself that didn't choose to have Mochi. He sees the hollowed out...
What?
So this says Moxie. Oh,
you don't know what that word is?
Oh, you mean moxie? This guy's got moxie.
You've never seen the word moxie written down?
I've never seen it written out. I always thought it was spelt with a CK. Okay, and I just assumed it was a Jewish name, and I was like, okay, you're going to... Okay. When they face each other, Marty sees...
No, sorry, I'm not cutting that out, by the way, so there's no point in saying it again.
He sees the hollowed out version of a person who has been broken by history. Yeah, again, that's an interesting idea, because obviously there's certainly that fact that you have the Japanese getting dunked on by the bombs, and the Jews being subject to a sad little situation with what happened to them. So they kind of have that thing in common. I do also kind of like the idea of the selfishness versus obviously what those Japanese people have, which is a lot of honor and duty to nation and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So, really cool in the business of contrast.
Yeah, again, the contrast is quite evident, isn't it? Marty is this loud, obnoxious character, and Endo is he's literally deaf, and he just goes back to his normal life after becoming table tennis champion of the world. Safdie is quite critical towards the Japanese, and yeah, it's an interesting idea. Look at how they took their defeat, and look at how they're being controlled by the Americans, and Marty is not like that at all. And yeah, I think that is interesting, even if it is insulting the Japanese a bit. But again, it's a good idea, but you have to dig a bit deeper to fully understand that, because it's not that easy to interpret if you just watch the movie once, for instance.
I would agree. Basically, it's not something. Again, reading it there, you can see the obvious parallels, but I mean, this is why I let you send me these little notes, and I learn my opinion on the movie when I can see all this information.
Yes, this hashtag analysis, which we love.
Yes, exactly. Rockwell offers Marty an exhibition match against Endo in Tokyo before the World Championships. Marty declines upon learning he would be expected to throw the match to appease Japanese audiences. Rockwell tells Marty that he is already a vaudeville performer, since he is touring internationally with Kletsky as a novelty act for the Harlem Globetrotters. Now, this is interesting, because I said, before we start recording, that I checked the Wikipedia, obviously to, as I always do, have a look at the box office and the budget, so I can then pretend to get it wrong. Or pretend I don't know. But also, because there were 2 moments in this film where I had a second of, wait, have I misunderstood what's happening here? And one of these was the fact that Marty's like going so much out of his way to be like, oh, I'm not going to sell out, blah, 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 and I was like, wait, hold a minute, he is selling out. Did I blink and miss something? Am I just like retarded? But no, yeah, so it is a bit weird to me. I guess like the difference is, even though he's kind of, he's being like a vaudeville performer, he's not losing. He's not like, basically, like he's not cheating. It's not like in a mock competitive match. But it is kind of interesting that they have him be this vaudeville performer anyway.
So he's, again, I think there is a difference between what Rockwell wants him to do and what Marty is currently doing, which is he's performing, and he's not happy about it. But at least he isn't like compromising his integrity. He's not like losing on purpose.
Yes.
And I think like Rockwell like wants to humiliate Marty further. Like I do think there is a difference. And of course Marty isn't happy about doing what he's doing. But yeah, at least he's like playing ping pong. Like he's touring with the Harlem Globetrotters. That's still a pretty big deal. I can't like they're famous. Well, today I can't imagine how famous they were in the 50s. But I do like how he's very insulted. And he's a bit of a psycho. That's good. I like that from his character. I just found it interesting, of course, because Milton Rockwell, when you first get to know him, makes a very he makes this point about how his son died during World War II in the Pacific, so the Japanese killed him, and then he's very happy to do business deals with the Japanese, which you're going to get into next.
Yes, absolutely. With some more hashtag analysis. The dynamic between Milton Rockwell and the Japanese is one of the most chilling parts of the film's subtext. It highlights the vampire philosophy he describes later, a world where money and power are the only things that live forever, while human life, even his own son's, is disposable. By doing business with the people who killed his son, Rockwell proves he has no soul. Grief is a weakness that gets in the way of a deal. Rockwell represents the cold corporate side of the 1950s American hegemony. After World War II, the US quickly shifted from fighting Japan to rebuilding it as a strategic ally. Rockwell is willing to shake the hand that pulled the trigger because he prioritizes the future market over the past tragedy. To him, the war was just a fluctuation in the market. Yeah, and that is something which I think is much more kind of available to be picked up on, the fact that, and it's, literally because we have a character directly say it, like, Marty says it, right? Like, oh, you little dickhead, you're simping for the people who killed your son, you little bitch boy.
Yeah, and of course he has the line later on in the movie where he says, "I am a vampire," which we'll get to later as well. But yeah,
good.
Yeah, he has this. Oh, you're happy about that?
I like that because obviously we've done 2 vampire movies so far, Sinners and this one.
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's sucking the life out of everything. He's taking advantage of everyone. He's exploiting everyone. That's what this character is. And so he'll even do deals with the Japanese, despite them killing his son. He has been alive since 1601, apparently, as a vampire. And is that the year like capitalism started? The Dutch people going overseas. The Dutch.
The choice of thing you would think has some kind of significance to it, and I could believe, because I think they obviously say kind of like, obviously you had feudalism and that kind of changed, and I think people would often say like the 1600s. It's certainly like it's the official start of the 17th century.
Yeah. So okay. So maybe there is a reason why he said that. But again, like all these year like the 1601 thing, it seems so abstract. But no, maybe it does have a point if you think about it. But yeah, it's just that's one of those things again where it's harder to understand unless you really think about it. In just hearing it in the movie, you think, well, that's a weird line. But yeah, certainly you can pick up on this. How chilling of a character Rockwell is. The fact that he hates the Japanese so much for killing his son, but he'll happily go over there to shill some pens. A perfect example of American capitalism right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, anything for a price. And of course, that means he's kind of maybe you could say he's like the vulnerable because obviously Chalamet's doing his humiliation ritual, but then maybe he's kind of doing a humiliation ritual too. But he's getting rich of it, so it's not humiliating, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's not a humiliation ritual. It's just what he's doing is sacrificing his integrity for money.
Yeah.
In a way which it's not humiliating because he just doesn't care.
Yeah. Anyway, back in New York, Marty is arrested for stealing from Murray, but escapes. He reconnects with Rachel, who is pregnant, and who claims the baby is his. Yes, so this is interesting because it's kind of like, I feel like it shows an example if he doesn't expect things to come back around to bite him. Obviously, he, basically robbed from these people, but then like when he's getting arrested, he's like, hey, what are you doing? Why do you think you can rob from, why do you think you can arrest me? I'm supposed to be above the law.
Yeah, he keeps trying to keep his head above water, but he keeps being dragged down by all this various shit.
Just when he thought he was out, they pulled him back in.
Yeah, he says, of course, I always pull out, but as we know, he has a dick that is reckless. So there you go.
Yeah, reckless dick.
Or is it reckless or restless? Kind of the same thing.
I think it was restless. Yeah, same thing. But I think just we've got to be serious here. Like this is an important podcast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is. I think restless.
Yeah. So this is. You mentioned before the line where Marty talks about taking a piece of the pyramids back to New York with him and saying, we built this, of course, referring to the Jews. And so, this is where we get into some more analysis about that.
Yes. Some hashtag analysis. Post-Holocaust pride and moxie. Set in 1952, the film is obsessed with Jewish survival and strength in the wake of WW2. Marty is the antithesis of the weak victim stereotype. He is loud, arrogant, and wears a Star of David necklace like a piece of armor. There is a key scene where Marty brings his mother a piece of an Egyptian pyramid and tells her, "We built this." It's a literal and figurative claim to history and resilience. Yep, that is an accurate thing about him. He does. That's all true, Luke. You can't deny it.
Yeah. What do you mean? I can't deny.
You can't deny that's true. You can't deny the Holocaust. You can't deny that those statements about him those are things that happen in the movie.
Yeah, no. Again, so I think that's why this character was interesting to Safdie, because this is a guy in the post Holocaust era, of course, just 10 years after it happened, or 7 years, whatever. The point is, he's just arrogant, he doesn't conform to the stereotype of a victim, and I'm absolutely fine with this because I think that's a great character to have, and I think maybe Safdie was, as someone who was Jewish himself. He was inspired by writing this. Obviously, he said he grew up watching looking at a lot of ping pong players who were eccentric Jews. In his household. This is a type of character who he admires. And I like that. That's good. Of course, we may have to mention Zionism and Israel.
Yes, because it's not as bad as the Brutalist. I'm not going to get as much into the weeds.
No, it's not as bad as The Brutalist or Schindler's List, which ends with Spielberg saying, I guess they did, the Jews did have to build Israel, because there were some people complaining on Twitter that, Marty's line, we built this, of course referring to the Egyptian pyramids, was, Zionist propaganda. And again, I don't think it's he's just meant to have this mentality of we should be proud of who we are, we can survive and we should thrive and we should be proud of ourselves, and I think that's a good mentality to have. The issue is when that mentality perhaps gets twisted and it gets bastardized into what you see from a lot of Zionists and Israelis who aren't their mentality when it comes back to the Holocaust is, we should never let it happen again by becoming this military superpower that can bomb anyone or nuke anyone. That's how we don't let it happen again. And we're going to do, genocides to other people because, of course, it was done to us. So, we're going to fight back. Even though, of course, it wasn't the Palestinians who did it, but let's just forget that. That they don't seem to care about that. But and to illustrate my point, so did you hear about the Super Bowl ad?
The kid getting beaten up.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about that. What did you hear about it?
I watched it. So isn't it I remember he's in a locker. He opens his thing, there's a black guy who's on his side. I remember that. He opens his locker, it says fucking Christ killing little bitch. And then a black guy next to him is like, oh man, that sucks. We should really be buddies because, we're best friends. And as a black guy, I definitely shouldn't hate you too. And doesn't he, at the end, I'm trying to, I I really
Well,
can't.
I'll
Just
tell you-
remind me.
I'll tell you why a lot of Zionists were unhappy with that ad. Because that ad shows, this Jewish kid getting bullied and this black kid,
Yes.
he was like, yeah, hey, I'm in the same boat as you, or I've experienced racism, let's fight it together, And it's a kind of simplistic ad. It's not that offensive, don't bully, anybody because of their race or religion, etc. And this problem of, Jewish kids being racially bullied, exists in America. And yeah, you gotta stop it. We gotta combat it. And a lot of Zionists were mad at that because basically it shows a Jewish kid in this ad being in a weak position, being a victim, and they
He
said
should be the bully.
Yeah, well, that exactly, yes. So there was this guy who wrote an article, talking about how if they had to do an ad to combat anti-Semitism, it would be about Jewish fighter pilots in the IDF, bombing like Lebanon and Gaza and
I did hear this.
Syria. That's the ad that they'd play at the Super Bowl. Showing that Jews are tough. Then if you come at us, we're going to come at you 10 times harder instead of meek little pathetic victims. And so that's obviously like it's a deranged thing to suggest that but the point is like Marty's like kind of attitude I think was kind of needed post World War II for the Jewish population. But let's thank God this movie never once mentions Israel. Thank Christ.
Yes.
Thank Christ. And it never mentions any like the Brutalist does. It never gets into that. And thank Christ, because that if you transport that attitude, what does that mean in terms of geopolitics? What does that mean in terms of the state of Israel? You can see the potential connection there, but the movie never goes in that direction, which I'm very glad about because it could have done. But yeah, it just stays in the early 1950s. It's this guy from like the ghetto in New York City trying to fight back, trying to make it, and he also happens to be Jewish. And it's very like much divorced from any mention of Israel at all, which I'm happy about. But potentially if someone else directed and wrote this movie, the connection between Marty's attitude and Israel might have been made.
So we had a narrow escape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a narrow escape, kind of like the connection Spielberg made at the end of Schindler's List, which wasn't like, oh yeah, the Jews need to be strong, but it's a case of actually, what lesson do we take from this? Yeah, the Jews need their own homeland. And the message could have been in this movie potentially if someone else wrote it. What do we take from Marty's mentality? Of being proud to be Jewish in the wake of the Holocaust. We maybe need our own country. Where we're not the victims anymore. Where we can bully other countries. Thankfully, again, it does not go down that path at all. So we'll take that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm proud of them. They really did a good job navigating that one. While staying in a rundown hotel with his friend Wally, Marty discovers he has been banned from the World Championship unless he pays a $1,500 fine to the International Table Tennis Association, or ITA, for fraudulently expensing his Ritz stay. Yes, so this is, of course, the other way that Jews can get ahead, which is, stealing people's money.
Sorry, what?
Well, he stole the International Table Tennis Association's money.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like, I put in my notes, this movie should be called One Battle After Another. Because it's like, this movie never
that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, this movie never slows down. It's such a frenetic pace, kind of like table tennis, I guess, So it makes sense, thematically. That's how table tennis is played. But yeah, it's every single crazy thing that could happen to this guy, it seems like it does happen to him. So yeah, now he owes this $1,500 fine, which is a plot device, of course, because it means that he has to do all this shit in the second half of the movie to try and get over to Japan. But yeah.
Marty's bathtub collapses through the floor, really one battle after another, injuring mobster Ezra Mishkin, who pays Marty to take his dog Moses to a vet. Marty instead hustles patrons at a bowling alley with Wally to raise the money. The bowlers later attack them at a gas station, but Marty and Wally escape, damaging the taxi and setting the station on fire. Moses runs away during the scuffle. Yeah, so this is like weirdly, in a way, like it almost becomes like the main plot. Like in some sense, like now, like think about this movie, it's like, oh yeah, it's that guy who like steals that mobster, or like basically takes that mobster's dog and doesn't do the right thing with it. Because in some sense, that's almost like the main drama for like this middle part. And it does feel a bit random. Like I think this is where, because the criticism you kind of said at the beginning, it's like there's so much that's happening, and it kind of just, I guess the implication, you didn't say this, but I'm guessing this is probably where it comes. Because this is how I feel to some extent. And certainly it stops us from being like an incredible movie. Is that the fact that there's just all of this random stuff happening kind of gets in the way of the film feeling like really intelligently constructed. Because kind of like, and this happens.
Well, yeah, because like I said at the start, it feels a bit gimmicky. Like the movie can just never.
I don't know why I thought
down.
you were going to say gay. I don't know. It feels a bit gay.
Yeah, you got collapsing bathtubs. You got them hustling these guys. Then afterwards, they find them somehow, and at a gas station that gets set on fire. It's so fast. The editing, the dialogue, it's just insane. It is style over substance, and it overwhelms you, and it makes you forget any thematic point. It overwhelms the character study of Marty as well, because all you're thinking is like, Jesus Christ, like just take it easy for a sec, But I guess that's the kind of movie that's Josh Safdie likes to make. So there you go.
No, yeah, absolutely. Rockwell returns to New York, having financed a play to relaunch Kay's career. After having sex with Kay, Marty steals her necklace, but after an attempt to pawn it, he learns it is costume jewelry. And then of course he lies about pretending that it's or like pretends that he had a change of heart. So again, he's being dishonest.
Yeah. Do they have chemistry, Gwyneth Paltrow and Timothée Chalamet?
No. I think I don't know. I just I don't really buy it. I don't get what the appeal is for. I don't get why he's into this old lady.
Because it's a status thing,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people have. I saw people being like, "Oh, the whole thing with Timothée Chalamet is he's intentionally banged, powerful women who are going to help him get ahead." I've heard people say that, and I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I can believe.
Sorry,
it.
You mean in his personal life?
Yeah. Like this is the thing I've heard, and it was kind of like, but I don't know. Like I saw a thing. I don't know why and when and how, but I did see a thing that was like. A rundown of Timothée Chalamet's love interests, or love interests, like women he's been dating, and it was like, he's dated some real spicy hoes. That's a good sentence, right? That's a good assessment of the situation. Yeah, no, that's a
that's a great assessment there. I mean, I don't know. Who knows what goes on in his life? We can only speculate.
Marty and Rachel stay with Dion, who reveals he has produced the novelty balls, but Marty failed to follow up. Marty and Rachel steal Dion's car and attempt to find Moses to extort money from Michigan, but flee after being shot at by a farmer who has taken Moses in. Dion throws them out for stealing and damaging his car, and discards the novelty balls. So there's kind of like two aspects of this, because it's like two things happening at once. One, you have the whole thing of like he actually has a deal that seems like that could have done something, and he just rejects it, which shows he's kind of stupid and reckless. The other thing is, it seems like there was a much easier solution here. Like when he has this issue with the farmer, I was thinking, okay, he can like just kind of get on the mobster's good side by being like, hey, I was taking care of your dog, but then this fucking farmer came along and stole it, and if you don't believe me, try and get your dog back from the farmer, see what happens. And then like if someone told me about some dickhead who stole my dog, I think I would respect that person from then on. That's just me though.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you could just tell the Jewish guy, like the Jewish mob boss, hey, well we found your dog, but I was shot at several times by this crazy farmer. So you can go and get him if you can kill this farmer, or whatever. I think that would be a decent way to to get on his good side. And maybe you'd only get $750. I don't know, or whatever. How much did he agree to pay him? $1,500? I can't remember. But
I think it was a little bit less.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
So I guess is the overall. Would you say like the kind of point of this thing and like the whole novelty ball thing as well is just that like it shows that he is. I mean, like maybe it's kind of there's an aspect of he's so caught up with greatness that he doesn't see the obvious ways he could be benefit his situation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to build things slowly, he just wants to go for it, he's a bit short-sighted, and therefore it pushes his friends away,
No, I want to say something real quick, and it sounds off topic, but it is the most important thing I'll say, which is, I've told you before, I'm a huge fan of this YouTuber called Uncle Adams. I'll keep this very brief. He was a guy who had a YouTube series where he was trying to document making $1 million in the rap industry, and there's a lot that's interesting about him, but the main thing that I find really interesting is that he, like, very clearly rejected some like obvious ways he could have made money that would have been far more profitable. Because he had, so one of the things that he used to always say is to be like, you got to burn your boats. That's the way that you succeed in life, by making it so there's no possible way for you to succeed other than like, you know, just being a complete superstar and having all your dreams fulfilled. And like, as I was watching, I was like, this guy reminds me of Uncle Adams. So there we go. That's my personal connection to this movie, which I'm sure you can appreciate.
No, I like that, yeah.
Yes. Previously, Rachel came to Marty with a black eye claiming her husband Ira had beaten her, prompting Marty to assault him. Marty learns Rachel faked her injury to manipulate him and leaves her. Rachel tells her husband Ira the baby is not his, and he throws her out of the house. So yeah, obviously, I guess this is like a thing where like you see multiple different people all being, as the kids say, toxic is, I guess, kind of the point.
Yeah, but Marty's been manipulated as well, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so it's it's like both sides, which is what we always love in our analysis.
Yeah, I like how this is unexpected. It's like, oh yeah, Marty has been duped. Yeah, I like that. I didn't expect it, so yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. At the opening of Kay's play, Marty apologizes for stealing her jewelry. Though she sees through him, Kay tells Marty to meet her that night in Central Park, where she gives him a valuable necklace to pay his fine and travel. Marty and Kay begin having sex in the park, but are soon caught by police and use the necklace to bribe the officers into releasing them. Yeah, this feels like another example of just like, oh yeah, stuff is happening.
Things keep happening. But yeah, again, it could be like thematic. Is like, oh yeah, he's trying to be with this woman. Obviously, he was high in stature, and he's told no by the authorities. He keeps being put down, Marty.
Yeah, they're always trying to keep a brother down.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, again, he wants all of this, but he keeps being put in his place. And I think that's a constant theme, which we will see next as well.
Yes, absolutely. Marty begs Rockwell to revive the Tokyo offer, and Rockwell agrees on the condition that Marty submit to a public spanking. Chalamet said he did his own stunts. According to Kevin O'Leary, a stunt bubble was initially intended to stand in for Chalamet in the paddle spanking scene, but Chalamet insisted on performing it himself. The prop paddle then broke during the first take, so a real paddle had to be used. So I will say, I do like the fact, like, the paddle thing, it works with, like, the whole, like, hazing thing that I know they have, and a lot of kind of, like rich people love their hazing. But then also, of course, yeah, it literally is table tennis, so paddle will make sense. Good, paddle incorporation, I say.
I mean, it's literally what Rockwell is doing to him, in the movie. Just putting him in his place, humiliating him, like it's spanking him. I think is the with his own table tennis bat. I think is, it's a good scene because I think it's quite memorable. But at the same time, it's just a literal. It's literally what he's doing metaphorically, but there in that scene, physically. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Before Marty leaves, he and Rachel are kidnapped by Mishkin after Rachel attempts to con him with another dog. Mishkin forces them to take him to the farmhouse where Moses was found. A shootout leaves the farmer, Mishkin, and his men dead, and Rachel wounded. Marty discovers the money is mostly worthless clippings. He takes Rachel to the hospital as she goes into premature labor and then leaves for Tokyo. So obviously, again, this is like the conclusion to the thing, which is kind of feels like a little bit of a side quest. Sorry if that offends anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a bit gimmicky. I mean, there's a thematic reason why the dog is called Moses, which we'll get to.
Yes.
But yeah, again, I just put in my notes. Yeah, this should have been one battle after another. Nothing can be easy. Nothing can be simple. Every 5 minutes there's something crazy going on in this guy's life. Let's talk about the fact that the dog is called Moses.
Yes, Moses. This is of course hashtag analysis. The dog's name is no accident. In the Bible, Moses leads his people out of slavery toward the Promised Land. Marty is constantly trying to escape his current life and sees Moses as his ticket out. First by scamming a vet bill, and later by chasing a massive reward. Just as the biblical Moses wandered the desert for 40 years, Marty's obsession with the dog leads him on a chaotic detour through New Jersey that almost cost him everything. Okay, so I was going to say, on the one hand, obviously I did pick up. I think, like, the whole Moses thing, that makes sense. Like, the whole Jew thing, Moses, obviously, freedom, blah, blah, blah. Like, to me, all of that made sense. And I was, interested. Like, the whole, like, thing about, like, the sidetrack in New Jersey being, like, wandering through the desert, that seems a little bit, kind of, what's the word? Like, of a stretch of an analogy, just because it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's like Marty's obsession with the dog. I wouldn't really say, like, am I crazy? I don't really feel like he is obsessed with the dog. I feel like he just thinks that the dog and, like, the...
Yeah, again, it's a the theme is quite thin there. But yeah, like there is a reason why the dog is called Moses. But yeah, it's just like he's going on this like journey, this chaotic journey, kind of like Moses, you know. But yeah, again, it just ties into this movie being about his Jewish heritage. He needs to find Moses. It's not that great, overall.
No, I'm not like it doesn't seem super deep to me. Again, like the part of it is, it's kind of a situation where half of it seems so obvious that it's not really that deep, and the other half of it seems so so nonsense that it's hard to really believe. So either way, not a great combination. Anyway, in Japan, Marty is told he is too late to enter the World Championship even if he pays his fine. He loses the exhibition match as planned, but when Rockwell plans to further humiliate him by making him kiss a pig on stage, Marty announces that the match was a sham and demands a real rematch, to which Endo agrees. Marty narrowly wins. It's interesting that he wins, because I was thinking, like, it almost seemed like they might go down the route of a subversive thing where he loses. And it's like, oh, even when he tries best, whatever, I don't know. But I mean, I think there's also a perfectly valid, I mean, obviously when you look at like the theme of like the Jews proving they can do it, it makes sense. But
yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, looking at the themes, it makes sense. And yeah, I think it is a good finale as well. It's a bit different to other sports dramas, of course, given, you have the fixed game happening first, and then, the context of why Marty is there. So yeah, I enjoyed these scenes, and yeah, I think the score is good. I don't know what the score is, but I like it.
Yeah, I started feeling like stressed out in the final match, and that was because there was too much excitement going on. So,
yes,
yeah, it's always good. Whenever I feel stressed out during a movie, that always means the score is good.
That's good. Yeah,
that's my litmus test. Anyway, hashtag analysis. The pig scene. A major turning point involves Marty being told he must kiss a pig, an unclean animal, in Judaism. You know what? I'm fucking retarded. I genuinely didn't even think about the fact it's like the whole pig Judaism thing. Anyway, this represents the ultimate humiliation and a test of his dignity. Will he betray his heritage for his career? Unlike many films that focus on Jewish suffering, Marty Supreme focuses on chutzpah. Marty doesn't want pity or to be a victim. He wants to be Hitler's worst nightmare. Marty's Japanese rival is technically superior, but Marty wins because he taps into what Bella described, the refusal to die. He wants to survive when the world wants you gone. He isn't playing for a trophy anymore. He's playing to prove that a Jewish kid from the tenements can't be broken. Yeah, that is actually I think a good way of really touching on that whole thing.
Yeah. No, it's a good ending to Marty's character arc. It's a good tying up of the theme. It just isn't that easy to tell all of this is going on when you initially watch it for the first time. Yeah, these are interesting ideas, but yeah, it's not really there, because you just again, the first time I watched that, I'm like, okay, this is an interesting table tennis match at the end, and yeah, it's again, I didn't realize the pig thing either until I read up on it.
Oh yeah, it seems super obvious, but then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, this is the ultimate humiliation for him. But yeah, I would hope that these themes would be it would be easier to interpret them, basically.
Yeah,
which is my issue.
No, I do agree. Yeah, I think that obviously, like I said, I didn't even pick it up myself. Refused passage home by Rockwell, Marty flies back with US Army soldiers, reunites with his mum at the hospital, confesses his love to a recovering Rachel, and breaks down in tears upon meeting his newborn son. Yeah. Is there, I don't know, flying back with US Army soldiers, is that because... Maybe if anything, this is an anti-Zionist movie, right? Because does he go to... is not real? No, he doesn't. He goes to America, to New York, where the Jews actually should go.
Yeah, it's his home is in America. He flies back with the U.S. soldiers. I think that is symbolic as well. He is American. And so yeah, I think the ending is quite sentimental, and I think some people were like, it doesn't really jive with the rest of the movie, because he tears up and it's like, oh yeah, I'm very happy that I'm a father. But again, I think if the themes were spelled out more, it would not feel that out of step with the rest of the movie. The ending, because at the end, it's like, oh yeah, think about it. The whole movie has been about the heritage of Marty and Judaism surviving post World War II, and this group of people still surviving, and then it's Marty is continuing that with the birth of his, I think it's his son, right? This group of people, they're still surviving, they're still thriving, they're still keeping on trucking. They're still doing that despite
keeping on.
Yeah, despite everything that's happened to him. So yeah, it's not sentimental because he's like, I'm very happy I'm a father now. It's sentimental because again, like it's it's part of this wider theme, of Jewish heritage that's been going on in the movie. But again, because it's not spelled out, you don't really get that at the end. So yeah, I think that's why some people were like, the ending feels a bit too sentimental, when it shouldn't really, if Safdie had just done a bit of a better job. But again, I think he was too focused on like all the craziness happening in the movie. But there you go. That's my criticism. But yeah, let's talk about the vampire line.
Yes, this is important. Yes, so one of the original ideas for the ending was for an older Marty to be taking his granddaughter to a concert in the 1980s, only for Milton Rockwell to be revealed as an actual vampire and bite Marty in the neck. This ending, originally suggested by O'Leary, was initially supported by Safdie, who went as far as to make digital teeth for O'Leary, but was ultimately rejected by studio executives. The vampire speech stands in direct opposition to the honey story told by Bella earlier in the film, as vampire identity is about extraction. Rockwell wants to drain Marty's talent, his dignity, and his integrity for profit. O'Leary also suggested that the film should end with Azzeon's character dying in childbirth, which Safdie decided was too dark. Of course, what's interesting is that who plays the original, most iconic Dracula? Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's Azzeon, by the way. That's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
But yeah, Kevin O'Leary has some great ideas. Like, he was born to do this. The vampire speech is great because, again, it's about extraction. Similar to Sinners, of course.
Yeah. Can I say that business's gain is film craft's loss?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. And again, the vampire thing would be too literal. I think it's nice to just have it in there and it be a crazy line. And you look a bit deeper and it's like, okay, this is what it means. You don't need to have him bite Marty. Like 30 years later. Yeah, I think they picked the right one. So let's conclude, Michael. You go first.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think basically there is like a very there's kind of like quite an evident kind of character thing with Marty being this like tenacious guy on his grind set and is well established. I think it's not entirely inaccessible, this theme of this being about Judaism and all that kind of stuff. I can kind of like get it. But there was a lot of stuff that I didn't really pick up on, which I think you've kind of covered. And I think, for me, the biggest issue with this film is just the aspect of the plot being so frenetic and all over the place that at times you're like, okay, wait, what is this movie actually supposed to be about? With that said, that's kind of missing, and that's, I think, what keeps this film from being really up there. I was going to give this film a middling 7.
Okay, yeah. I was going to give it a 7 out of 10, which I'm going to do. So interestingly, like apart from F1, which is the odd one out, the movies we've reviewed, I've kept giving them lower ratings. This is a 7 out of 10, and again, like it's a frustrating movie overall. It's frustrating, that's what I'd say, because it's aggressively cryptic almost. If you're familiar with like Jewish heritage or Jewish history, or maybe you're familiar with like the Safdies in general, you could be okay after watching this, and like, oh, I get what they're trying to say. But if not, you're just watching a crazy movie about like a ping pong guy, or a ping pong player doing all this insane stuff throughout the movie. But yeah, again, like I think it's pretty obvious. Once you look under the hood, it's like, okay, this is what this movie is about. But yeah, it's just again frustrating that it gets in its own way. I feel like almost. And it could have been even, it could have been better if it hadn't been so cryptic. But there you go. I think again it was just watching it on its own and not analyzing like the themes, which you kind of have to do to give it a fair rating. It's like, it's kind of fun. It's a bit crazy. I think Chalamet does a good job. But yeah, maybe a bit too frenetic. And again that gimmicky style of editing of dialogue. It does wear thin after a while, and it's a bit too similar to Uncut Gems as well in that regard, of a guy going, he's getting in way over his head, trying to keep his head above water, etc., whatever you want to say. Yeah, it has been done before by the same director, so yeah, I'm just not that enamored with it. So yeah, 7 out of 10. What are we doing next week, Michael?
Well, next we're doing what would really humiliate a Jew, which is a net made out of ham. A ham net.
Yes, ham net. So join us for that. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thank you for watching and listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.